Hey guys! Today we are looking at building a custom model here. We are going to go with the Fake Zero color scheme from megaman X2, and we are going to be doing it on the Kotobukia Zero kit. The first thing that I'm doing here is snipping out each of the pieces. I do leave a little bit of the sprue on the part that I will then sand off later. This will prevent the plastic from stressing out too much, and it'll make a very smooth surface at the end with no gouges inside that I have to go in and fill up with putty. Just as a disclaimer here, I am not a professional modeler. I am just simply someone who enjoys the hobby, and with Mega Man kits coming out left and right it seems, I felt like it would be a good time just to kind of show people the process that it takes to kind of go through and make a custom kit. With so many new ones coming out, maybe we'll have new people in the hobby looking to make their own custom designs. Once the part is off, I take some sandpaper and work down the little burr that I left on. This will clean up the part, giving it a nice glossy look when you are all done, which will then make the area where the burr was invisible. It will just look like a normal standard action figure you get out of the box. So, I start with 1000 grit sandpaper and work my way down with the following grits that you can see now on the screen. It does take quite a while to get it all the way done, but it only takes a few strokes when you get onto the higher grits, and you'll see as I kind of work on this piece here what the end result looks like and what you should be looking for as you are removing burrs on your own kit. Random build thought. Riley should make a Sandman. And there we go! A nice glossy finish, and it's as if the piece was never connected to a tree at all. Alright, so now I begin to actually assemble the parts and actually make the model itself. I always build the figure first, so I know how the pieces go on, so that way at the end of the painting session I know how to rebuild the figure. It is also beneficial to actually build the figure first so you know which pieces kind of grind up against each other. That way you can sand them down a little bit and keep that from happening once you have your final paint job done, and your paint won't scratch. So that's the general gist of how I do the initial assembly of the kit. I have a little build montage kind of worked up here for you guys to enjoy. I know sometimes watching people just snap some things together is a little satisfying. So we have that, and then after that we will be looking at covering up these seam lines. Oh no. Oh no 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 no. I missed a burr. Well, time to deassemble and resand. And there we go. It's fixed. So, Zero, what do you think of this set of hair? No? Okay. Yeet! Alright, Zero, what'd you think about this hair? Yeah. So because this is fake zero, I'm 3D printing a little Sigma symbol to put on his shoulder instead of the Z, because after all, fake zero was made by Sigma and the X Hunters. Well, that would be thematic. Alright, now it's time to clean up some seams. So with the parts slightly separated, as you can see here, I will be taking some ultra-thin cement by Tamiya and applying it to both sides of the part. Once it is applied, and I'm pretty generous with how much I put on there, I will press the pieces together incredibly hard, hold it for a minute, and then grab some either like rubber bands or binder clips, vice grips, anything that can keep the two parts together tightly. This way, the glue will actually cause the plastic to melt, the two pieces will fuse into one, and then any of the glue that kind of comes up and over will sand it off, and it'll be as if there's no seam line at all on the figure. One thing to make sure of though, and this should go without saying, is do not get any of this glue on any parts that move. That would be really bad. They won't move anymore. Alright, so it's time for sanding round 2, Electric Boogaloo. The glue is kind of raised up around the parts like that was going to happen. So taking the same sandpaper as before, I just run through with the same grits, same order, and just make it like before, a nice glossy finish. At the end, the two parts that are now connected where that little groove line was, it'll be gone. Don't worry about the dust. The parts are all washed before the painting process and that'll take care of that. The first round of painting, the primer. But to get the primer, we have to take it out of the can. So I start off with a little bendy straw, and I tape it to the nozzle of the can, and then have the bendy straw connect over into an empty collecting jar. When I spray it, the paint will go through the bendy straw down below into the jar, and voila! I can then take it out of there and airbrush it on a nice light coat at a PSI that I can control. After it is out of the can, it does need to wait just a little bit for the remaining gases in there to escape, otherwise when you shoot your own air through it, you're going to have a paint bomb. The primer serves two purposes on the kit. The first one is to neutral tone the entire thing. That way if I'm applying, let's say, blue paint on a red and yellow piece, it'll come out the same shade of blue on both. The other reason is, the primer has a micro filler in there, which will fill in any small scratches left over from the sanding process. This way, you get a completely smooth and nice finish at the very end. I have found that it's best to get all on the part, even on the inside in places you think you will not be shown when the whole thing is done. I have had times where I did not paint kind of on the inside of something, and when the angle was right, I could very visibly see the color of the plastic, and it just kind of bothered me. So from here on out, I always just could do the entire thing, and if I can shoot the paint on the inside of it, I do that as well. Now we have our first layer of actual paint and not primer, the base coat. I'm going to go for a metallic finish at the end, using some metallized paints, so my base coat has to be gloss black. I don't have a choice in that one. The gloss black will allow the metallic colors to have a nice metallic shine finish at the very end. I try and keep my brush roughly about 2 inches, 3 inches away from the part. That way the paint doesn't dry in the air on its way to the piece. When airbrushing, you do want to keep the brush constantly moving. You want to keep the part kind of moving too. If you keep the paint flow in one area for too long, it will pool up and cause a blemish that will then need to be sanded and reapplied. The biggest trick to airbrushing though is controlling your PSI and having your paint thin properly. Having it too thin, it'll just run down the part and not actually stick. And having it too thick, it'll come out looking like popcorn ceiling tile. The first metal color that I'm doing here is Chrome by Outclad 2. I use this one quite a bit. I find it to have a very nice shine that later on we will go over with a transparent color to then turn it back to black but have the nice metallic look of the chrome underneath it. The chrome is a very gentle color. You have to be very careful with how you are applying it. Otherwise it will get too saturated and it will lose some of its actual reflective shine. Once the chrome is dried, I then take a transparent black. So the transparency on this one will allow the metal chrome underneath to shine through the black color, but the black will still be the primary color that you see, thus giving us a metallic candy black coat on the very top. I didn't film the next step on these parts, which is the gloss coat, because it's kind of boring just watching a clear coat go over a normal piece like this. But essentially you will just put on the gloss coat so that the part looks wet, and the gloss should kind of level it out, cover up any maybe rough bumps in the paint that may have been left over, and it'll help the shine of the final product. I'm then doing stainless steel and brass on just a few select pieces here. There's not very many, but they also require the gloss black base coat that we put on before. Now we move on to the non-metallic parts. I did a light gray base coat for this, and now I'm applying a gloss white for the very few select white pieces that are on the kit, such as the shoulders and the knees. Like the previous pieces, I'll be doing a gloss coat over these as well. Everything on my kit is going to be gloss coated at the end, just because that's the finish I'm going for. If you're building a kit and you're looking to do like a matte finish or a flat finish, you still will probably want to do a gloss coat right before you do your final matte or flat finish, just so if you have grooves like in the headpiece here, you can panel line them. The gloss coat will allow the paint to easily flow through and not kind of get caught up on the little bumps that actually create the matte finish. And lastly, I'm doing a gunship gray for the gray parts on the kit. I'm using the same gloss black as the base coat on this one because for all grays I kind of just go with black naturally, and it was easy just to use the same black I was already using. I'll go ahead and cover a couple of bases here that you're not going to see in the video, but you will see on the end result. There are some red gems on them. I just hand painted those. I could have used some red paint that I had sitting off to the side, but I kind of wanted to do a little testing with hand painting on them to see if I could get the end result that I wanted. As well, I ended up using a different saber part that actually comes with an entirely different kit that'll be covered in another video. Mega fans, thanks for watching my build of Fake Zero, the kit I have always wanted. Feel free to criticize my build techniques here in the comments below. I'm sure I did something wrong. If you did like what you see, however, feel free to subscribe. There will be plenty more videos like this, along with some reviews of models and other toys. Till next time, take care!